Hello, everyone. I hope you guys are doing really well. My name's Eva, and I want to thank you for joining me here in this video today. The focus of today's work is going to be on the root chakra, the base chakra, and this really, really powerful message and energy that's coming through, probably personally for you, and also very, very collectively at this time on survival fears, scarcity beliefs, and scarcity foundations, and really, really letting the focus be in our imagination, like reconnecting to the imagination space, to the infinite possibility of the field, um, not on what's crumbling and what's being left behind. Like there's a really strong focus on not trying to investigate or parse apart or make any more sense of what is made in fear, and instead really, really turning our attention to how we create in love, and love being creation and communication itself and being what we are. And we really also want to focus going forward on how we're framing the questions that we ask Spirit. Are we framing the questions from the assumption of scarcity and lack, and that we need assistance and we need to be healed and we need to work things through from that perspective? Or are we assuming from the reality of being healed and insisting upon forming that reality with what's really coming through as this, we talk about this a lot on this channel, this solar plasmic beingness, right? This higher level, more expanded substance of consciousness that is being projected from this higher state of evolution that we certainly have reached as we've done this work and are continue to move through. But this is really important. God built the divine foundation of safety eternally, right? That's not something you have to do. That's already been done. And, it becomes kind of a cliche when all of these, talk about manifestation and stuff, it's already done. But that is that is true. Creation is. And so the inherent beingness of yourself as one with God is the foundation of all safety, is the reality of safety, is why you are safe. And you don't need to build that. You need to allow that to emerge from you in your awareness. And you can only do that by focusing your attention on where it really is. And so it's already here. All that which you imagine in peace and beauty and creativity, in community, in safety and security and abundance, it's already here. It's here now, and the only time that there is. And so we want to allow this healing to come through, to dissolve projections of past and future, and really focus on the abundance where it could only be, which is now. Yes, you learn to hear, right? We remember how to hear. We train ourselves how to hear that which is already calling to us eternally. That voice for God, which is the center of all beingness, the creation that flows through all life, that is all life. And we do that by letting ourselves be at peace, letting ourselves be in stillness, and knowing that we are safe to do so. We are safe, this idea of doing nothing. You're not doing nothing. You're in communion with all life, with all beingness. You're remembering who you are. And really, there's a lot of undeserving energy around not being able to rest, not being able to take, well, I can't afford that. I can't afford to take the time to sit there and do nothing and wait for God to speak. This is an energy that is coming up to be cleared. And so yes, we're working with this higher dimensional, you can say, expansion of substance of matter. It is different. Different states of consciousness produce and project different levels of physics, different states of matter. And it can't be worked, it can't be molded, it can't be treated like what it isn't. And so that's why we're really being called to get curious, to investigate, to play with this higher state of being that we've worked so hard to embody and to be aware of. No longer playing with broken toys, no longer playing with that which will not bring us the manifestation of security and peace and abundance that we are calling to. So the clarity is not in seeking for details of a plan. It's not in being prepared by the way of what the ego thinks that means. It's really in the purity of your own resonant frequency. And that's what we're going to work on today. We connect back to wonder, joy, comfort, ease of imagination, when you are, sometimes we think of this as daydreaming, but really this is envisioning, and how peaceful that feels, and how much you allow yourself to dream and expand, like really, really associating that with being the substance and foundation of creation, the template space, the programmer level of what then is manifested into form, and letting yourself be there. And when attack thoughts or doubt thoughts or intrusive thoughts start to come in, that you say, this won't work for me. I can't do anything with that thought. That thought is not of creation. That is against what I'm trying to do here, and I don't need it, and I'm not going to use it. Spirit can't use that through me. That doesn't bring me peace, and so it is not of God's plan. This is creation without stress. And it's important to remember that we're not alone in what and how what is to be in physical manifestation will be brought into form. That is not up to us alone. And that's why I'm always, always, always talking about this unity practice, that we remember we are one with all life, that we ask to remember in every interaction that we have, that we remind ourselves in every interaction with all states of being at all levels, in other people, in human bodies, but certainly in plants and animals, in the elemental spirits, and all those beings that you may notice in your vision and in your heart and in your mind, that we proclaim their oneness with us, and that we remember that. So as I always say, it is self meeting self, that we bring ourselves into union so that we can really see the fullness of the field and how co-creative power really works. It's not your mind alone. Your mind is not alone. Your mind cannot be alone. We are one mind field in a bunch of different dimensional levels and things like that. But at its core, it is one mind in the mind of God, which we've never left. So we want to bring in that remembrance of that peace, of that safety, of that security now at this time. Knowing you are safe, knowing you are healed, knowing you are whole indeed. Abundance is your natural state, in one with unity, calling in the earthly mother at this time, calling in all of the divine feminine emanations of God, all of the enlightened masculine emanations of God, in whatever state that takes for you. Si tayo no koroinim nitruyetis, that we bring this into wholeness, into divine union. Kinindriyaptosit, through us. Shokorokonandrayasum si kinindrihanat, that you may be in awareness of all times of your safety, of your abundance, of your care. Kinandroatosum sati shondro kinindriam nagorro inisom sotro kinindri kiniat, siononom sharahitis, and that as we align with the energy of eternity, of eternal beingness, and of oneness, that this idea of survival kind of just gets dissolved. There's no other state of being but life. Siendroa urruindo sum sokonoin chitri kayanam nati sandaya torri kiniantai, kinindroa voshi si kinindroa main, kinior konoin sotroeisia shatra, sios orayan tato como an chikiti, sinriandori tisia kiana, siatroa chikinindro or kinindrea sotroati shokorruino toyasanain, hindi sendrayos. And this is like really bringing up a fear of punishment, a fear of being punished for things that you've done to like make yourself more comfortable or make yourself feel more safe or at home in the world, and like that has been like sort of rejected, and there's this state of being that's really like frenetic and worried all the time, and we really want to bring that into love. We want to bring that into wholeness at this time. This is like really coming through in those deeper levels of the body. That's why I'm moving around like this. If you feel like you need to sort of shake about and let it flow, like if you think about, like, all things are sort of waves, right? So if you think about this sort of wave current moving through your body, like letting it work through, let it through where you feel stuck energy, or where you feel pain, or where you feel resistance in you. And this might come through the hips, it might come through the knees, the ankles, the legs, can come through in the very, very, very sort of base, as we talked about at the beginning, and letting that kind of like undulate through you to move any stuck energy, any pain, letting it ground, letting it be embodied, letting this higher plasmic energy be emerging from these lower centers for evolution of them and for ascension of them. Kini androate simsa oruinyo tukina nashor kiniti sayesia shinana no ruinam na koroknin dati paoso kina sinatokono ombor kuninda yosoto kadaiti kipa orindi kayanimna orayato sumsokoya shatriat ki kayanorinan doruino amnatra kanchataya no horotasia. And we talk about love being creation, being communication. And so a lot of this energy also comes out through the throat, because we're being really, really changed from within about how we communicate, not just with our words, but with all life at all dimensional levels of communication. That's represented in the throat here in our bodies, but we're understanding that this is expanding into much different ways. But you could also feel that energy coming and reworking in this throat as what you are communicating changes, as who you're communicating with changes, as you communicate with yourself in a different way, because your definition of your identity as yourself is different now, because you have a higher, deeper, further in, further up definition of what it is that you are. And so your communication with all life changes in that way. Kinadroa kini toyamna oruin takuriiti kini. Himoruitis dios doin initoro kini namna trihot usoko tishirihain satrakonin. Hinindo aya toru kinin diasa. Shitakori payas natrakiet. Oru kinindi hamato oru kinindri hitisai. Shitaisi kinindo omnatratas. Shorato sokonimatro oru kinindi simsiki. Citroatus utrocanan tiborro kinindis inchakinindisi sinjiriti sansakono indapao hu inimiana tracorro inium doai hirianayo norro quin sotruibi saishiti a hu soto inimatrikini shindruatus unsokono shamaun humorro kinindisa caracor kin datro kaya satrat Yakurruitis tati socorro conondro canatra yasayati. Letting it go, letting it go. Big release out the back of the spine. Lovely. Nandruasum sokonish. Let that move down your legs. Let it move down, in, into the planetary body. And let it expand your awareness. Let it expand your embodiment of peace, of certainty. Remember, God knows uncertainty is not of God. And it is not of you. It doesn't mean what the ego thinks that it means. You do not need to know in advance all of the details of the plan. The work for us is to trust that we will be shown at the exact moment that we need to be shown. And I always think about animal instincts when I think about this, like when squirrels, because there's always a lot of squirrels, when squirrels sort of collect their nuts and their provision for the winter, I don't believe that they are like anxiously doing so out of a fear of scarcity, right? They have instincts at the time of year in which that needs to happen. They are, oh, now is the time. All of the acorns are on the ground and it's time for me to it's time for me to get them together so that I have them. And then as the winter moves on, they know that they have them, but they're not doing so in like anxious scarcity fear, right? They're just doing it because that's when they have to do it. And the light turns on in them, the information turns on in them for them to do it at that time because that's the time for it to be done. But they're not anxiously anticipating starvation. They are just allowing their natural genetic code to be expressed through them. And I believe that we think ourselves so evolved and so different from the way that animals participate with nature, but we're not. And we are much different, I think, than animal consciousness. But it is, I believe, in much the same way that you walk through life without anticipating future scarcity, without future withoutness, right? That you feel like you need to stockpile or get ready with a really, 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 really detailed plan, or else things aren't going to work out and you're going to be in danger, right? These are always, when we work on survival and root and scarcity fears, is this idea of being in danger. You are the Holy Sun. You are one with all life. You are never in danger. And it's about allowing this to enlighten the cellular memory so that it wipes away the imagination of fear. This is what the work is. So I think we're going to end this transmission here now. So thank you all for joining me. If you guys are into the light language sort of genetic vocal code, I do so many trance meditations on my site that I have for sale, and they're so powerful. I think the most powerful one I've done yesterday I released, and the link for that is below. The links to all the trance meditations are below, and I'm working now on new categories, recategorizing them on the website so they're clearer, because now there's like 35 of them and the descriptions are very, very detailed. So just making it easier for browsing, and I'm also working on bundling them together as sort of sets so that if you feel like you need to work on this kind of thing, that they'll be all bundled together so you don't have to go searching. I'm trying to make this work is we cannot describe a fraction of what this is, so I try to make it as accessible as I can, but hopefully you can feel it. We're feeling into this new way of being. One-on-one sessions are open. Lots of ways to work together, always linked below. Thank you to everyone who is subscribed and a member of the channel. Lots of exciting work coming up on the member channel. So thank you all, and I love you all very much, and I'll see you next time.